Libra, my beloved air sign of balance and quiet wisdom. Let me ask you something right now. What if I told you that this Friday, December 12th, the universe is setting into motion a life-changing surprise just for you, something you never saw coming, but something your soul has long been prepared for? You didn't click this video by accident. And I didn't write these words randomly. Everything about this moment is a sacred invitation. A portal has quietly opened, and your energy has aligned with it. This reading is your sign. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where the voice of the stars meets the quiet language of your spirit. Here, we don't just predict, we remember. We don't just hope, we activate. We hold space for the kind of change that doesn't just shift your circumstances. It transforms your understanding of who you really are. Libra, I want you to pause for just a moment and tune into your body. Can you feel it? That gentle pull, like something has been waiting for you on the other side of this video? It's not just a prediction. It's a calling. Because December 12th isn't just a date. It's a threshold. A door. A divine appointment written in the language of numbers, of timing, of alignment. The number 12 appears twice not by coincidence, it's a mirrored moment. A cosmic, "Are you ready?" whispered through energy. In the tarot, the energies circling you now are intense and sacred: the Justice, the Tower, the Star. You've done your part. You've lived with integrity. Now, something unexpected will shift, and it's not chaos, it's clearing. And when the dust settles, healing will flow in like light after a storm. But let me be clear, this message isn't for everyone. It's for the ones who know how to listen between the lines. For the Libra soul who's held it all together for everyone else, and is now being asked to receive. Before we go deeper into the cards and energies around this rare moment, I want to thank you. Let me take a second to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every like you give, every comment you leave, and every time you subscribe brings you closer to this growing soul family we've built here on Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your support doesn't just help this channel, it amplifies the energy of healing that we're co-creating together. So thank you, truly. And if what I've said so far already resonates with something in your heart, then I want you to leave a comment right now with the words, "I'm ready." This is your energetic contract with the universe, a way to say, I'm open to receive what's already mine. Because Libra, you will want to stay with me until the very last second of this message. What the universe is about to reveal is not just surprising. It's breathtaking. And now, let's begin. Sometimes, the most extraordinary moments in life don't arrive with thunder or grand announcements, they whisper in quietly, almost unnoticed, until everything around you begins to shift. What's unfolding for you, dear Libra, is not random. It's not luck. And it's not something you could have penciled into your planner weeks in advance. This is the kind of cosmic alignment that comes only when your energy, your choices, and your readiness finally meet in the same place. December 12, 2025, marks one of those rare intersections. With the Sun in Sagittarius forming a harmonious trine to your sign, and the Moon diving deep into Scorpio's waters, this is not just an energetic fluctuation, it's a soul-level pivot. Sagittarius brings vision, expansion, and truth-seeking. Libra, you've been balancing for everyone else for so long that your own expansion may have felt delayed. But now, the sky itself is clearing a path for you. Meanwhile, the Scorpio moon reaches into your emotional underworld and pulls something up, something you may have long buried, forgotten, or quietly hoped would fade on its own. This is a revelation wrapped inside a moment of stillness, a gift you didn't ask for but may have always needed. The surprise coming your way might arrive in a form that defies logic. It might be a conversation you never expected to happen, or an opportunity that returns after being lost in the past. It may even be a gentle act of grace from someone you thought had forgotten you. The astrology suggests this is not about new beginnings, in the way people usually define them. This is a continuation of something your spirit once started but that your conscious mind let go of because the timing wasn't right. Think back to moments this year when you planted seeds. Maybe you supported someone else quietly. Maybe you worked hard behind the scenes without recognition. Maybe you made sacrifices no one knew about. Those moments weren't invisible to the universe. They were noticed. And now, the fruit of those efforts is finding its way back to you. You might not recognize it immediately because sometimes, we forget what we sowed when we were too focused on surviving. Imagine a seed buried in the soil. You planted it in the dark, maybe without even knowing what it would become. You watered it with your patience, your discipline, your daily choices. And now, without warning, it has bloomed. You may even walk past it and say, "Where did that flower come from?" not realizing it was your own hands that placed it there. This is that moment, Libra. You don't need to force the timing. You don't need to chase or hustle or plead. What's coming to you was always meant for you. It's just that now, you're finally in a space to receive it. This is the universe's gentle way of reminding you that everything you give with a pure heart circles back, often through the most unexpected channels. And even if you've been discouraged, even if you've questioned whether the good you've put out has been lost in the noise, this is the moment to release those doubts. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. What's yours will find its way. And if it arrives softly, don't mistake it for small. Some of the most powerful moments are wrapped in quiet grace, like the way sunlight breaks through clouds after days of rain. Let yourself witness this miracle, not with skepticism but with openness. You've been the gardener of your own life. The soil has shifted. The bloom is rising. And perhaps, just perhaps, this is the Friday where the life you forgot you asked for finally remembers you. There's a quiet kind of strength in letting go, not the kind that draws applause, but the kind that realigns your soul with something deeper than control. Libra, you've spent so much of your journey holding the balance, keeping the peace, and making sure the scales never tipped too far in either direction. But in doing so, have you ever wondered how much of yourself you've silenced? How many tears you tucked away, how many truths you swallowed, just to preserve harmony for everyone else? The energy you're stepping into now is not asking you to abandon your core values. It's asking you to release the illusion that you must always be the one who fixes, who mediates, who sacrifices. The cards in your spread, the Justice, the Tower, the Star, paint a picture of divine alignment, destruction, and healing. You've lived with integrity. The universe sees that. The Justice card isn't here to test you, it's here to affirm that you've done the work, even when no one was watching. But now the Tower enters not to punish, but to clear. Something you've clung to, an idea, a role, a relationship dynamics no longer sustainable. It's crumbling not to hurt you, but to free you. You may feel shaken. But that's okay. The star only rises after the tower falls. And that's what makes healing so miraculous. It comes when we least expect it, from places we once feared were permanently broken. Often, healing doesn't arrive with a spotlight. It comes quietly, in the form of a new boundary. A moment of honesty. A breath you finally exhale because you no longer have to pretend you're okay all the time. In the world of energy, your heart and throat chakras are intimately involved in this shift. These are the centers of love, truth, and expression. And right now, they're asking for room to movito, unclench, to expand. That's why the colors turquoise and luminous silver are so powerful for you this week. They invite softness. They remind you that communication doesn't have to be loud to be true, and that worthiness isn't something you earn by holding it all together. There's a story I often think about, a woman who for decades carried the emotional weight of her entire family. She made peace when others argued, remembered birthdays no one else did, made sacrifices so subtle no one even realized they were sacrifices. She was the justice, day in and day out. But one day, in the stillness of her heart, she heard something simple but life-altering. You're allowed to let it go now. That whisper became her shift. It didn't mean she stopped loving them. It meant she started loving herself, too. You don't have to carry the unspoken expectations of others forever. You are not failing by releasing what has become too heavy. You are, in fact, opening space for clarity, for joy, for the divine surprises that cannot arrive when your hands are already full. If you feel called, write down 3 things you've been holding on to: roles, obligations, even thoughts that you no longer want to carry. Choose one this week to gently release. Not with drama. Not with guilt. Just with quiet courage. Sometimes, grace doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less and allowing more. You are not here to be the constant correction in everyone's lives. You're here to experience beauty, too. To cry if you need to. To laugh again without guilt. And maybe, to remember that even in your softness, you are whole. Let yourself receive, Libra. The miracle has already begun. There's a unique kind of presence that doesn't announce itself with noise or grand gestures. It simply exists steadily, quietly, often at the edge of your awareness. Libra, this presence is part of your current story. There may be someone in your life right now whose silence feels louder than usual. But don't mistake their quiet for absence. They are watching not with judgment, but with care. With curiosity. With a deep desire to understand what's going on behind the strong, graceful exterior you so often wear. In relationships, we tend to look for validation in words, in action, in clarity. But the most powerful form of love often shows up not in what someone says or does but in what they're willing to hold space for. This person may not know how to reach you yet, because you've spent so much of your life being the strong one, the stable one, the calm in everyone else's storm. And they're standing on the other side of a wall you didn't even know you built, waiting. Not pushing. Just waiting for a sign that you're ready to let someone in without having to explain everything. What's unfolding around the 12-12 energy gateway invites something sacred into this connection, the opportunity for softness. You may notice something subtly kind gesture, a shared task, a look that lingers longer than it should. It might be a moment when someone takes on something you usually carry alone, or when they offer you support in the simplest, most unspoken way. And it's in that moment, Libra, that the universe gently reminds you, you don't need to hold everything by yourself to be worthy of love. Sometimes love is not loud. Sometimes it's quiet enough to miss if you're too busy proving you don't need it. But when you slow down, when you make space not by demanding or asking, but by simply being open, that's when it finds you. This season of your life isn't asking you to beg for attention or chase after closure. It's asking you to receive. And receiving is often the hardest thing for someone who's used to giving everything. In energy work, this is where the heart chakra begins to bloom. Not through declarations, but through presence. Not through perfection, but through permission. If you've been holding back tears or soft feelings out of fear that it would make you weak, know this: vulnerability is not weakness. It is magnetic. It allows those who care about you to finally show up for you in a way that's real and sustainable. Let's take it deeper. Sometimes, divine support doesn't come from thunder or fire. It comes through people. Through their hands, their listening, their timing. In the everyday moments that feel small but shift something inside you. It's easy to miss these as coincidences. But what if they aren't? What if these people were placed in your path on purpose, because your soul whispered a prayer you forgot you spoke aloud? The truth is, not every miracle is dramatic. Some miracles wear familiar faces. Some speak in softened tones. Some arrive through those who've watched you quietly and are now moved not to rescue you, but to stand beside you while you finally release the need to carry everything alone. This week, Libra, let yourself soften. Let your guard down, just a little. Open the door, even if just a crack. You don't have to explain your exhaustion or justify your silence. The right person won't ask you to. They'll simply meet you there, right where you are, with no expectations, no pressure. Just presence. And maybe, just maybe, you'll feel what it's like to be held, not because you asked, but because you finally allowed someone to see that you needed it. Sometimes, the very energy we project without even realizing it can become the silent message that shapes how others respond to us. Libra, you've spent a great deal of time proving your independence, your calm under pressure, your ability to handle everything with grace. And yes, that self-sufficiency has served you in many ways. But what if I told you that energy, while admirable, may have been quietly telling the world, I don't need anything. I've got this? The truth is, energy never lies. Even when your words say, I'm open to opportunities, your vibration might still be saying, I'll figure it out alone. Now, with the Magician and the Six of Pentacles guiding this part of your journey, a new frequency is beginning to surface. The Magician reminds us that we already possess all the tools we need: practical skill, mental clarity, emotional depth, and spiritual alignment. But the key lies in integration. Are you using these tools in harmony, or have you been hiding behind just one out of fear the others may be misunderstood or dismissed? This is where the Six of Pentacles brings a beautiful twist. It doesn't just represent giving or generosity, it's about receptivity. You're moving into a space where someone, perhaps a person of authority or quiet influence, has been observing your dedication from afar. Whether it's a mentor, employer, client, or collaborator, this person is finally ready to extend something to you, not out of pity, not out of obligation, but because they see your worth. Truly see it. Not just your results, but your energy. Around December 12th, a window opens. That opportunity you once thought passed you by and never fully considered real may return in an unexpected form. And here's where your choice becomes crucial. Will you recognize it? Will you allow yourself to receive without downplaying your value? This is not a test of your capability. It's not a pop quiz on how humble you can remain while minimizing yourself. It is, instead, a moment of divine compensation. A balancing of energetic accounts. The effort you gave, the time you stayed silent, the talent you used without asking for anything back, it's being acknowledged. One thing I've witnessed again and again in those who walk a path of healing and spiritual growth is this: the hardest thing is not giving. It's allowing yourself to receive when the blessing finally arrives. So many of you, especially those used to carrying others, feel undeserving when it's our turn to be carried. But Libra, you deserve to be chosen. You deserve to be rewarded. You deserve to be seen for the totality of who you are, not just your peacekeeping, not just your logic, but your vision, your intuition, your quiet leadership. Take a moment this week and write down your current financial or career intention, not what you should want, but what your soul truly desires. Fold it gently and place it somewhere close to your body, like your wallet or journal. Let it live there between December 11th and 15th as a symbolic anchor. Let it be a quiet agreement between you and the universe that says, "I'm ready now." And if you're still hesitant, still wondering if you're worthy of what's coming, remind yourself, this is not an accident. This is the natural return of what you've invested, even in invisible ways. The universe keeps better records than we think. And every seed you've planted, even in the dark, was never ignored. Your only job now is to meet this moment with open hands. Not because you're lacking, but because you're finally available. Because what's headed your way isn't charity, it's alignment. Not everything in your life, Libra, needs to make perfect sense before it begins to transform you. You've spent so much time maintaining equilibrium for others, for your relationships, for the image of peace you've worked hard to project, that you may have started to believe stillness is your natural state. But even balance, when held too tightly, becomes a form of resistance. And right now, the universe isn't asking you to be perfectly still. It's asking you to soft-tento feel, to release, to allow. The cosmic energy around December 12th isn't subtle. It doesn't arrive through analysis or strategy. It bypasses the mind and goes straight to the heart, the body, the breath. And if you try to meet this energy with logic alone, you may miss it entirely, not because it's too hidden, but because it requires something rare from you: surrender. This is not about letting go of your intelligence or the clear thinking that Libra is so gifted with. It's about learning to trust what arises when you stop trying to filter everything through the lens of control. When you stop managing every moment and start experiencing it instead. The beauty of this shift is that it's not something you have to force. In fact, forcing it would defeat the purpose. What's being asked of you now is presence. Permission. A willingness to pause the inner dialogue long enough to hear the quiet truth beneath it. Start simply. Place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, without judgment, what am I really feeling today? Not what you should feel. Not what's socially acceptable or easy to explain. Just what's real. The body holds more truth than we realize, and when we give it even a sliver of our attention, it responds with clarity. You might feel tightness in your chest, a flutter in your stomach, or a sudden wave of emotion you weren't expecting. Don't fix it. Don't label it. Just notice it. That awareness alone is a sacred act of self-connection. There's a reason this message is arriving now. The astrology speaks of emotional fluidity, and the energetic themes of this period are inviting a kind of realignment that can't be accessed through doing, it can only be received through being. This is where the law of attraction becomes more than a concept. Because manifestation doesn't only happen when you repeat affirmations or visualize outcomes. True alignment begins when your energy stops fighting itself. When your desire and your vibration finally speak the same language. And while you may be tempted to stay strong or keep calm, what if your breakthrough is hiding behind the very emotions you've been trained to suppress? What if this time, your healing doesn't come from pushing through, but from letting go? From letting yourself fall apart just enough to allow something more honest to emerge? As part of your self-nurturing practice this week, consider nourishing your body with grounding, calming foods. Dark leafy greens like kale and spinach, soothing herbs like chamomile, gentle grains like oats. These don't just support your nervous system, they send a message to your entire being. It's safe to slow down. It's safe to feel. You weren't meant to hold tension forever. You weren't born just to manage other people's emotions while neglecting your own. And maybe, just maybe, the thing that unlocks your next chapter isn't another perfectly executed plan but a quiet, trembling truth finally allowed to speak. Let it come. Let it move. Let it shake something loose inside you. That's not instability, it's awakening. Libra, if you've made it this far, it means something inside you is shifting gently, deeply, maybe even quietly, but it's happening. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't about learning something new, but remembering something ancient within you. A knowing. A pull. A sacred reminder that you were never meant to carry the world alone or make everything perfect before allowing yourself to receive what has already been written in your name. You don't need all the answers right now. You don't have to map out every detail before taking the next step. The most extraordinary changes often begin in the most uncertain moments. Miracles don't always make appointments. They arrive when your soul finally whispers, "I'm ready," even if your mind still has doubts. That whisper is more powerful than you know. The message you've received today is not a prediction to wait for, it's an invitation to co-create. The energy surrounding you right now isn't here to test you, it's here to support you. But it needs your participation. It needs your openness. So I ask you, Libra, what are you willing to surrender in order to receive what's already yours? What would happen if, just for a day, you trusted the unfolding instead of trying to control it? You are the only one who can unlock this next chapter, not because you have to earn it, but because it can only respond to the version of you that's finally ready to receive without resistance. The door is already open. The question is, are you willing to step through it without needing to see everything on the other side? Take a moment now and reflect on everything we've explored together. Has something stirred in you? A memory? A longing? A flicker of clarity that perhaps your soul has been waiting for this exact moment to feel seen? If you feel Idavan, just a little comment below with the word "ready." Not for me. For you. As a signal to the universe that you're aligning your energy with what is already moving toward you. And when you do, trust that this simple act, this energetic yes, is enough to start the shift. And if this message touched you, even in the smallest way, I invite you to support this space. Like the video, subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, and share it with someone else who may need this reminder today. Every gesture you make keeps this energy alive, not just here, but in your own life. You see, the work we do here isn't just about insight. It's about embodiment. It's about practicing what your heart already knows and walking it out in small, intentional steps. So I'll leave you with this. What's one thing, just one, that you can do today to honor the truth you just remembered? Because the stars can only light the path. You are the one who walks it. Thank you for sharing this space with me. Your presence here matters more than you know. And wherever you go next, may you carry this light with you, knowing you are never walking alone. Until next time, stay open, stay grounded, and stay in alignment with the beauty that's already on its way to you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time for the miracle that has always been yours.